I want you out of my house right now. Get your things and leave.
She was 6 months pregnant when he looked her in the eyes and said the words that would shatter her world forever. 28-year-old Maya Richardson thought she knew what love was. She thought marriage meant something. She thought the man standing before her, the father of her unborn child, would stand by her through anything. But when her body began to change, when she gained 20 pounds carrying their baby, everything she believed about love crumbled in an instant. This is the story of a woman who gained weight and lost everything. Or so he thought. Maya Richardson met Derek Lawson at a friend's birthday party in downtown Chicago. She was 26, working as a freelance graphic designer, building her career one client at a time. Derek was 36, a senior marketing executive at a prestigious firm, the kind of man who commanded attention when he walked into a room. He was tall, confident, with the kind of charm that made people lean in when he spoke. Their connection was instant. Within weeks, they were inseparable. Within months, Derek was talking about forever. He proposed on a rooftop overlooking the city, with candles and rose petals and a ring that must have cost 3 months of his salary. Maya said yes without hesitation. She believed in him. She believed in them. They married 18 months after they met in a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends and family. The photos from that day show a woman glowing with happiness, a man who seemed to adore her. Everyone said they were perfect together. Everyone said it was meant to be. The first year of marriage was everything Maya had dreamed of. They moved into a modern apartment in Lincoln Park, Derek's name on the lease because his credit score was higher. They talked about starting a family, about building a life together. Derek encouraged Maya to take on fewer freelance projects, told her she was working too hard, promised that he would take care of everything. She trusted him. She always trusted him. When Maya found out she was pregnant, Derek's reaction seemed genuine. He posted the sonogram on social media with a caption about becoming a dad. He talked about baby names and nursery colors. For 8 weeks, everything felt right. But then Maya's body started to change. It wasn't dramatic. It was normal. She gained weight in her hips, her thighs, her face. By her second trimester, she had gained 20 pounds. Her doctor said she was perfectly healthy. Her baby was growing exactly as expected. But Derek's eyes began to wander. He started going to the gym more often, staying late at work, coming home smelling like perfume that wasn't hers. Maya noticed, but she told herself she was being paranoid. She told herself pregnancy hormones were making her emotional. She told herself everything would be fine once the baby came. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The truth came out on a Tuesday evening in late October. Maya had just returned from her 24-week prenatal checkup. The baby was healthy. Everything was on track. She walked into their apartment expecting to find Derek making dinner or watching television. Instead, she found him sitting on the couch with a suitcase packed beside him. His face was cold, distant, like he was looking at a stranger. He told her they needed to talk, and Maya felt her stomach drop even before he said the words. Derek told her he wasn't happy anymore. He said he didn't think he was ready for a baby. He said he needed space. But it wasn't about space or readiness. Derek had been seeing someone else for 6 weeks. Her name was Sienna Blake, a 23-year-old model with an Instagram following and a body that hadn't carried life yet. Derek had been taking her to expensive restaurants while Maya was home with morning sickness. He had been planning trips with her while Maya was shopping for baby clothes. And now, with his wife 6 months pregnant, he had made his choice. Derek told Maya she needed to leave. He reminded her that the apartment was in his name only. He said she had 30 days to find somewhere else to live. When Maya begged him to reconsider, when she reminded him of their vows and their baby, he looked at her with something close to disgust. He told her she had let herself go. He told her she wasn't the woman he married anymore. Then he walked out, leaving her standing in what was supposed to be their home, with nothing but broken promises and a life growing inside her that he no longer wanted. The first night after Derek left, Maya sat on the bathroom floor until 3 in the morning. She couldn't cry. She couldn't scream. She just sat there, numb, with her hand on her belly, feeling her daughter kick and wondering how she was going to explain to this child that her father didn't want her. Maya had always been a planner. She had spreadsheets for her finances, calendars for her work deadlines, lists for everything. But sitting on that cold tile floor, She realized that no amount of planning could have prepared her for this moment. The next morning, Maya forced herself to get up. She made herself eat breakfast even though everything tasted like cardboard. She called her best friend Rachel, who lived 3 states away, and broke down the moment she heard her voice. Rachel offered to fly out immediately, but Maya told her not to. She didn't want sympathy. She didn't want people looking at her with pity. She wanted to believe she could handle this alone, even though she had no idea how. Within 2 weeks, Maya received official eviction papers. Derek had hired an attorney, and the law was on his side. The apartment was in his name. They had never combined their finances. Maya had no legal claim to the place she had called home for over a year. Her savings account had less than $400. She had stopped taking on freelance work when the morning sickness became unbearable, and Derek had promised to support her. He had said they were a team. But now, while Maya was packing her belongings into boxes, Derek was posting vacation photos with Sienna, champagne dinners, luxury hotels, captions about new beginnings. Maya moved into Rachel's cousin's apartment, a tiny studio in a neighborhood she didn't know. The cousin was traveling for 6 months and needed someone to watch the place. It wasn't ideal, but it was free, and Maya had no other options. She slept on a pull-out couch that hurt her back. She cooked meals on a hot plate because the stove didn't work. She took showers in a bathroom with mold growing in the corners. And every night, she lay awake wondering if this was what her life had become. The pregnancy continued whether Maya was ready or not. At 28 weeks, she went to her prenatal appointment alone. The waiting room was full of couples, men holding their partners' hands, rubbing their backs, talking excitedly about nurseries and baby names. Maya sat by herself, filling out forms that asked for the father's information, and she left those lines blank. The ultrasound technician asked if she wanted to know the baby's measurements, and Maya nodded, trying to focus on the screen instead of the empty chair beside her where Derek should have been. At 30 weeks, Maya's body started to swell. Her ankles disappeared. Her fingers were too swollen to wear her wedding ring, which she had kept on out of some foolish hope that Derek would change his mind. She developed gestational diabetes and had to prick her finger 4 times a day to check her blood sugar. She couldn't afford the special diet her doctor recommended, so she did her best with what she could buy at the discount grocery store. She ate the same meal every day for 2 weeks because it was cheap and kept her numbers stable. The isolation was worse than the physical discomfort. Maya had always been social, always had plans on weekends, always had people to call. But after Derek left, she realized how many of their friends had been his friends first. They stopped inviting her to things. They stopped responding to her texts. One woman she had considered a close friend told her that Derek's side of the story sounded very different, and maybe Maya should think about what she had done to drive him away. Maya stopped reaching out after that. At 32 weeks, Maya had a panic attack in the cereal aisle of the grocery store. She was looking at prices, trying to figure out if she could afford the healthy cereal or if she should buy the cheap one and spend the difference on diapers, when suddenly she couldn't breathe. Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. She abandoned her cart and stumbled outside, gasping for air, feeling her baby moving frantically inside her as if she could sense her mother's distress. A store employee asked if she needed an ambulance, and Maya shook her head because she knew she couldn't afford the bill. There were moments during those months when Maya thought about ending the pregnancy, not because she didn't want her daughter, but because she didn't know how she was going to survive as a single mother with no money, no support, and no plan. She would sit in the clinic waiting room, looking at the pamphlets about adoption, about resources for women in crisis, about options she never thought she would have to consider. But every time she felt her daughter kick, every time she saw that little face on the ultrasound screen, she couldn't go through with it. At 34 weeks, Maya started having contractions. They weren't regular, but they were painful enough to send her to the hospital at 2 in the morning. The nurses hooked her up to monitors and told her it was false labor, that her body was just practicing. They kept her for observation for 6 hours. During that time, Derek called once, not to check on Maya, but to yell at her for listing him as the emergency contact. He told her to take his name off all her paperwork. He told her he wanted nothing to do with her or the baby. Then he hung up before she could respond. Maya cried in that hospital bed surrounded by beeping machines and fluorescent lights. She cried for the marriage she thought she had. She cried for the future she had imagined. She cried for her daughter who would grow up without a father because he couldn't handle 20 extra pounds on his wife's body. But when the nurse came in and asked if she was okay, Maya wiped her face and said she was fine. She had learned by then that nobody really wanted to hear the truth. Most women in Maya's situation would have disappeared quietly. Most would have taken whatever help they could get and moved on. Maya thought about it. She thought about giving up the baby for adoption. She thought about moving back to her hometown in Georgia where her mother had passed away 2 years earlier and her father was battling dementia. She thought about how her life had fallen apart at 28 years old, pregnant and homeless and abandoned by the man who promised to love her forever. But then she looked at the ultrasound photo taped to her bathroom mirror, and something inside her changed. Maya decided she wasn't going to disappear. She was going to fight. Her first step was finding a legal aid office that helped low-income women with family law cases. The attorney she met with was a woman named Patricia Chun, who had been practicing family law for 25 years and had seen every kind of betrayal imaginable. Patricia listened to Maya's story, looked at the timeline, and told her they had a case. Maya filed for child support immediately, requesting payments retroactive to when Derek kicked her out. Derek's response was swift and cruel. He denied paternity. The man who had posted sonogram photos on social media and talked about becoming a father now claimed the baby might not be his. It was a delay tactic designed to buy him time and force Maya to spend months fighting a battle she shouldn't have had to fight. The court ordered a paternity test to be conducted after the baby was born, which meant Maya would spend the next 3 months pregnant, broke, and fighting a legal battle completely alone. At 36 weeks, Maya's body was exhausted. She couldn't sleep because she couldn't find a comfortable position. Her back ached constantly. Her feet were so swollen she could only wear one pair of shoes. She had stopped looking at Derek's social media because seeing him happy with Sienna was too painful, but people kept sending her screenshots. Friends who claimed they were looking out for her, who said she deserved to know what he was doing. She wanted to block them all, but she saved every image for Patricia, building a case one painful piece of evidence at a time. While Maya was applying for WIC benefits and sleeping on a friend's couch, Derek moved Sienna into the apartment where Maya had planned her nursery, where she had imagined her daughter's first steps, where she had believed she would build a family. Sienna posted photos of herself in Maya's old bedroom, redecorating with minimalist furniture and expensive art. She posted selfies in the kitchen where Maya used to cook dinner. She posted stories about how happy she was with Derek, how in love they were, how perfect everything was. But Maya was documenting everything. Every text message Derek sent during her pregnancy. Every Instagram post Sienna made in the apartment that used to be Maya's home. Every Venmo payment Derek made to Sienna for date nights and vacations while Maya was using food stamps to buy groceries. She saved every threatening email from Derek's lawyer. She recorded every voicemail where Derek refused to discuss the pregnancy or ask about her health. She was building a case, one piece of evidence at a time. At 38 weeks, Maya went into labor. It started with back pain that she thought was just another night of pregnancy discomfort. But then the contractions became regular, 5 minutes apart, then 3, then 2. She called an ambulance because she didn't have anyone to drive her. She rode to the hospital alone, timing her contractions with an app on her phone, trying not to think about the fact that this was the moment she had imagined sharing with her husband. On a freezing February morning, Maya gave birth to a 7-pound, 3-ounce baby girl in a county hospital. She was alone. No husband. No family. Just a nurse who held her hand during the hardest contractions and told her she was doing great. The labor lasted 14 hours. There were moments when Maya thought she couldn't do it, when the pain was so intense she wanted to give up. But then the nurse would remind her that she was almost there, that her baby was almost here, and Maya would find the strength to push one more time. Maya named her daughter Zoe, which means life, because this tiny human represented everything Maya was fighting for. When the nurse placed Zoe on her chest for the first time, Maya looked down at this perfect little face and made a promise. She promised that her daughter would never feel unwanted. She promised that Zoe would grow up knowing she was loved. She promised that she would fight every single day to give her daughter the life she deserved, even if she had to do it alone. Before Maya had even been discharged from the hospital, Derek's lawyer sent a message demanding they schedule the paternity test immediately. Maya was still bleeding, still learning how to breastfeed, still processing the trauma of giving birth without any support, and Derek's attorney was already pushing for the next step in their legal battle. It was a reminder that this fight was far from over. The DNA test was conducted at a clinical facility 1 week after Zoe was born. Maya was exhausted, running on maybe 3 hours of sleep, wearing clothes that didn't fit right because her body was still recovering from pregnancy. Derek showed up with Sienna, holding her hand in the waiting room like they were the happy couple. He made jokes with the nurse about crazy ex-wives and gold diggers. What Derek didn't know was that Maya's lawyer had advised her to document everything, and in Illinois, a one-party consent state, she was legally allowed to record conversations. She captured every dismissive comment, every cruel joke, every moment of Derek's performance. 2 weeks later, the results came back. Derek Lawson was Zoe's father with 99.9% certainty. The court ordered him to pay child support retroactive to when he kicked Maya out, plus ongoing monthly payments of $2,400. But Maya wasn't finished. Abandoning your pregnant wife isn't illegal. It's cruel and unethical, but it's not a crime. However, lying under oath is a different matter entirely. Derek had signed legal documents claiming he wasn't sure the child was his, requesting a paternity test because he had doubts about Maya's fidelity. Patricia Chun subpoenaed Derek's social media accounts going back to the beginning of Maya's pregnancy. Every post, every comment, every photo. For 6 months, Derek had publicly celebrated becoming a father. He had called himself a dad-to-be. He had posted photos of baby clothes and nursery furniture. He had responded to congratulatory comments from friends and colleagues. Then the moment Maya's body changed, the moment she gained weight, he denied the child was his. The timeline was damning, and the judge was not impressed. The custody hearing took place on a humid morning in July. Maya walked into the courtroom with her 6-month-old daughter and a folder full of evidence. Derek arrived with Sienna, his expensive attorney, and a petition requesting primary custody of Zoe. His argument was that Maya was financially unstable, living in a 1-bedroom apartment, unemployed, on government assistance. Technically, everything he said was true. Maya was struggling. She was barely making ends meet with freelance work while caring for an infant alone. Derek's lawyer painted a picture of a woman who couldn't provide for her child, a mother who was drowning in debt and desperation. But then Patricia Chin stood up and presented a timeline that told a very different story. Week 24 of Maya's pregnancy, Derek told her to leave. Week 26, he moved Sienna into the apartment. Week 28, he posted vacation photos while Maya applied for Medicaid. Week 32, he blocked her phone number. Week 36, he denied paternity and demanded a DNA test. Patricia presented phone records showing Derek had called Maya exactly 0 times after she moved out. He never asked about her health. He never checked on the baby. He never sent a single dollar in support. But during those same 6 months, Derek took Sienna on 3 vacations, bought her a car, and paid for cosmetic procedures. The total amount spent on his girlfriend while his pregnant wife was applying for food assistance was $43,000. The judge called a recess. When she returned 15 minutes later, her expression was unreadable. The ruling was swift. Derek's petition for custody was denied. The judge stated clearly that his actions during Maya's pregnancy demonstrated a pattern of emotional abuse and financial manipulation. She said his claim of wanting custody appeared to be a bad faith attempt to reduce his financial obligations rather than genuine parental concern. Maya was granted sole legal custody. Derek was ordered to pay increased child support accounting for his deliberate avoidance of responsibility, plus $14,000 in back payments, plus Maya's attorney fees. Derek was offered supervised visitation if he chose to pursue a relationship with his daughter. He never did. Within 6 months, he missed his first child support payment, then his second, then his third. Patricia filed for wage garnishment, and the court agreed. Derek's paychecks were automatically docked before he ever saw the money. The financial consequences were just the beginning. A colleague leaked the story to a parenting blog, and it went viral. Social media did what it does best. Derek's professional reputation was destroyed. Derek lost his job within a year. His firm cited performance issues, but everyone knew the real reason. His Instagram was flooded with thousands of comments calling him out for abandoning his pregnant wife because she gained weight. Sienna left him 4 months after the trial. Apparently dating a man with wage garnishment and a viral scandal wasn't as glamorous as she had imagined. Meanwhile, Maya rebuilt her life one day at a time. She started taking on freelance clients again, working during Zoe's naps and after bedtime. She saved every penny she could. Maya watched her daughter take her first steps. She heard her first word, which was mama. She built a small but stable life in a modest apartment filled with secondhand furniture and homemade decorations. Zoe grew into a bright, healthy toddler who would never remember the man who tried to erase her before she was born. And Maya discovered something Derek would never understand. Her worth was never measured in pounds. It was never tied to a man's approval. It was never dependent on fitting into someone else's idea of perfection. 3 years after the trial, Maya received a message from a mutual acquaintance. Derek had remarried, not to Sienna, but to someone new. They were expecting a baby, and according to the message, his new wife had just entered her second trimester. History has a strange way of repeating itself. Maya didn't respond to the message. She didn't need to. She had learned that some people never change, and some battles aren't worth fighting twice. What mattered was that she had survived. She had fought back. She had refused to disappear. Today, Zoe is a thriving little girl who loves books and music and asking endless questions about everything. Maya runs a successful freelance design business from home. She's not wealthy, but she's stable. She's not bitter, but she's wiser. She knows now that the weight she gained during pregnancy gave her the greatest gift of her life. And the weight she lost when Derek left was the dead weight of a man who never deserved her in the first place. This is Maya's story, a story about betrayal and survival, about cruelty and justice, about the strength it takes to keep going when someone tries to erase you. So here's the question we want to leave you with today. If you were Maya's friend back when Derek kicked her out, what would you have told her to do? And do you think Derek's new wife knows what happened to Maya? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories matter. Your experiences matter. And maybe your words will be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. This has been Fireside Tales, where we tell the stories that need to be told. If this story moved you, please subscribe so you never miss our next video. Thank you for watching. This is Maya's